ladies and gentlemen, just with the interwebs out there, Sebastion, Envi, Style, Sin, Violent Superman, and Lois. It was a wedding episode with typical wedding hijinks. So let's geek about it for a scant few minutes. Now, this episode was one part wedding episode with Kyle Cushing and Beppo and them uh, going through the wedding process. Kyle is super happy about it. He wants to run gung ho in it. We find out that he kind of misses having the family and that feeling of having a family. And gotta wonder if that's kind of pushing him to kind of rush things because he proposed basically as soon as he found out he knocked up Beppo, which is something that she's kind of wondering too. Is the boulder rolling down the hill too fast? Are they rushing into things? Is she being like her parents did? Because they got married when they found out her mom was pregnant with Beppo. So there's a little bit of that going on. Kyle at one point professing his real actual love to Beppo's mom, but Beppo kind of doing the runaway bride thing and just um, getting cold feet. And then they kind of come back together, but they don't actually tie the knot, which is kind of that's a little bit different. They actually decided, hey, we're still gonna be together, but we're gonna chill on things and then take it slower, which is good for them. I like the fact that they didn't come back and go through all that they went through in the episode and then come back and then actually went through with the wedding. I'm actually glad that they didn't. Outside of that, this episode was kind of uh resetting to what the new normal is for the Kent family because Clark is back. Clark is feeling a little bit less than himself because there are some incidents and some aspects of himself that he comes back with that are limitations on the Man of Steel, as far as like his strength and his hearing and his just ability to keep going and going and going like the Energizer Bunny. Is that now compromised? Is he sort of a, I don't want to say disabled Superman, but he's a not quite as able Superman as he was before. Now, will this change? Is this just because he's adjusting to having General Lane's 60 some odd year old heart, even though it had kryptonite blood in it? Remains to be seen how it all plays out. A lot of people are speculating, and I can see it, that there's going to be a three-way battle with Doomsday eventually. Clark is going to take him on initially, and then it's going to take Jonathan to help out, and then Jordan's going to come through in the clutch towards the end because also in this episode, we're adjusting to the fact that Jonathan has powers, and he seems to take to them uh, much quicker than Jordan did. He's a veritable, prodigy. And you see Jordan kind of feeling bad for himself because he feels like he let his dad down, feels like he let granddad down because he feels like they both died because of him, because he tried to step out there, save them, be the hero, failed miserably, and he's now feeling that. He's also dealing with the whole mom picking the other kid thing, which of course she explained it as, well, he at the time did not have powers. I thought you could handle yourself. So they dealt with that. And I like, it kind of sucks that there's a limited amount of episodes for this, fourth and final season, but it also kind of allows you to get to stuff because in years past, and maybe a season with more episodes, this whole problem that Jordan as with his mom over the phone call would have been stretched out over several episodes. We'd see there's like one scene where he's sitting in his room and he's listening to it again. There'd be multiple scenes of that over multiple episodes. So this kind of forces um, resolutions to things that would otherwise be dragged out for a super long, stupid amount of time because of TV writing. So it's a blessing and a curse. It's a curse because the show is really fucking good. The acting in it is phenomenal. Tyler Hoechlin is phenomenal. Elizabeth Tulloch, like she needs uh like a SAG award or like an Emmy or something because she's putting in emotional work in this episode. She is a uh just the range that she has, the believability she puts into scenes, whether she's being the hard-nosed journalist, whether she's being the tough parent, whether she's being the vulnerable like cancer patient. She is bringing it. Like her range is amazing. I'll be like curious to see what is going to be the next project she moves on to, be it TV, be it film, after this show, because I definitely want to follow her and see what she does next because she is phenomenal. And again, the fact that the boys, had issues with each other. I assumed at some point that there's going to be like a fight between them, superpowered fight between them, but it might not happen. Now, if there were more episodes, there might be some, again, because of the phone call, there might be some discord between them that would eventually evolve into a fight. And then we'd have the come to Jesus moment with Jordan and Lois after that. But because we have a limited number of episodes, we're kind of past that and everybody's kind of cool with each other. Plus, I mean, they've been at each like into it with each other, the sibling rivalry type of stuff before. There's no need um to do it again, to rehash it again just because Jonathan has powers now. Jordan, though, is feeling kind of like at one point in the episode, he gives Jonathan his suit and he can be Superboy. And Jordan says he wants to figure things out, kind of figure out what he's supposed to do with himself with these powers, or maybe not with the powers. So I'm kind of wondering if by the show's end, because in the comics, there's only one Super Son, Jonathan. So is he going to be Superboy going forward, and somehow Jordan goes and does something else? Is he going to be a superhero? Not necessarily. Maybe he just sticks with you know, the DoD and does stuff for them on the sly, or he's just doing like a desk job and he's just not really like, he just figures out the superhero life just isn't for him, which would be fine. I would actually be cool with that if that's the way they went, not forcing him to be a hero. Just have him realize this shit ain't for me. Like, I've done it, I've tried it, I fucked up really, really bad, and I don't want to do that again. I want to do something else. I want to be somebody else. I don't want to feel pressured because my dad is Superman. And maybe he admits at some point that that's the pressure. You have powers, you're son of Superman, you need to go save people and stuff. And he figures out that's just not for me. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to, like, Jonathan's going to zig, I'm going to zag. I would be totally fine with that. And that would feel natural. It would feel real. Jonathan, on the other hand, like I said, comics has Jonathan, so I'm fully expecting with him just being the prodigy that he is going to go forth by the episode's end. He'll probably have a different, newer costume, and then the last shot will be like, because we don't know kind of where Clark's going to be, if he's going to continue being Superman, where his limitations are going to be. Is he going to get past those limitations? By the show's end, is like there's either a last shot going to be so the last shot is either going to be all three, Clark, Jonathan, Jordan, flying, and that's super sort of like Christopher Reeve, like flying over the Earth type of thing, I think, or maybe it's just them uh just flying, just three together towards the camera, and then it fades out or something like that. I think it's either going to be the three of them flying, or um it's going to be when Jonathan gets his new suit. There's somebody in trouble in Metropolis or something, and then Clark is going to stay with Lois. He'll be on the farm. He'll have his, arm around Lois and a gee golly smile on his face. Jordan will be right there as they look off to see Jonathan in his brand new, spanking new threads to go be the new Superboy slash Superman. That's where I'm thinking it's going um, to end. Or it's same thing, Superman, Lois standing there arm in arm watching their sons both go save people. And they'll both be in spiffy do suits and go, save the world or whatever. But I really think it's going to be like Jordan's going to go do something else and Jonathan is going to be the one to take the mantle going forth. Remains to be seen how it all plays out, but that's the way I think it's going to be. But overall, this is just a great show. It's shot wonderfully. The action that they do, um, on the scale, on the budget that they do. I mean, you can nitpick it a little bit. Some of the flying scenes, some of the green screening stuff that they do, like Jonathan walking through the fire and some other stuff, you can nitpick, but they do make the best use of the budget that they have, and they really give us like a good show. It really sucks that this show has to end when it does, that there's this mentality that you can't have competing Superman media out there. It's basically been confirmed that that's why the show had to end, because James Gunn was coming along with his Superman and didn't want competing Supermen. Like, we're too stupid to understand the big screen one from the TV one. Whatever. But at least we got 4 seasons of a really good show, and it's given us a really good final season. Even though some of the characters that we've come to know have gotten like scaled down roles, like the Irons. Sarah and Lana, I'm cool with them having just very little to do. Sarah, she's not toxic in this season, which is cool because I hate her so much. So I'm glad we get to see as little of her as possible. Remains to be seen what Luthor does with the fact that Superman is back. How Doomsday plays into it. And again, I think the final battle is going to come down to Doomsday against all three of the Kents. in a fight to the finish. Remains to be seen how it all plays out. But this was another phenomenal episode, even though it was going off of the typical like rushed wedding sort of like plot. Um, they did something a little bit different with it towards the end, which is what I like. Because I mean, in this day and age, there's really no new stories. It's about the execution of the stuff that you're retreading, and they did, pretty decent job with this. So I'm happy with it. Another good episode. You should check it if you haven't seen it. But anyway, before we get out of here, we need to talk about this. The other sister. I'm assuming that's the other sister standing next to Sarah. Did she suddenly enter a pocket dimension and come back like fully grown? Like, they were really gonna pass this off as like she was like a little girl in, you know, a couple seasons ago, and now she's apparently looks like that. I mean, I guess kids sprout up like weeds, but still, that's quite a jump, if you ask me. Those are my thoughts on it, scattered as they often are. What do you guys out there think? When it comes to no, follow me on social media. Talk to me there. Talk to me here. Until next time, of course, and always let us geek.